Welcome to Your Partner in Success Radio, a program that values the potential of knowledge, collaboration, and growth. The show is hosted by Denise Griffitts, who is known as an intensely curious nerd in stilettos. Each Wednesday, she is joined by co-host Ben Gay III, a renowned figure in the sales world. Ben is recognized for introducing The Closers, one of the most popular and powerful sales training materials ever produced. Having been mentored by Dr. Napoleon Hill himself, Ben has gained a wealth of knowledge on sales and life. Throughout the show, Denise and Ben delve into the world of sales, entrepreneurship, and success, exploring Ben's vast experience from guiding and mentoring countless professionals to achieve unparalleled success in their careers. Together, they offer unmatched guidance to listeners seeking success in their professional endeavors.
Good morning and welcome to Your Partner in Success Radio, the Closers Inner Circle podcast edition. And this is me, Denise Griffitts, and my co-host, Ben Gay III. And if you've never heard us before, as noted in that introduction, Ben Gay III is a highly respected sales trainer, consultant, and author with over 50 years of experience. And he is known for his expertise in closing sales and has trained top industry professionals. I am a successful business strategist and a podcast host, and I love podcasting. So today, our goal each week is to bring a wealth of expertise and practical wisdom, inspiring and equipping individuals for sales excellence and entrepreneurial express. Excuse me, I needed to choke there for a moment. Entrepreneurial success. Hang on a second. So in the world, let me try this again. In the world of sales, focusing on value rather than price is crucial. And any of us who have small businesses or we need to sell, and if we have a business, we need to sell something, whether it's a service, whether it's just an idea we need to sell. But customers often prioritize price when they're evaluating products and services. So Ben says that salespeople need to shift their approach. And by understanding and effectively communicating the value proposition, salespeople can close deals and build, again, this is very important, we've talked about it before, build lasting relationships. So in this episode, we explore why emphasizing value over price is going to help you capture customer attention. It allows for differentiation from competitors, and it drives profitability. So by shifting the conversation and the mindset, salespeople can make a significant impact and create win-win situations for both customers and businesses. Ben, welcome. It's good to, I love Wednesdays. I get to talk with you every Wednesday. I'm so happy.
So happy to talk to you. The way you said Ben sounded like my mother was about to say Benjamin, which was never good.
And if there's a middle name attached, my name is Denise, obviously, but I, honest to goodness, thought that Denise was my middle name, and Damn was my first name for the longest kind of time. So I get it.
And the southern version of that is Down, D-A-L-M-N. Down.
Yep. Yeah. Or Get Out of the Way, which is a whole nother sound entirely. We're not going to go down that road. But anyway, as usual, I always have at least one of the Closers books on my desk. And today, as I mentioned, we're picking up from our conversation last week where we talked about pricing and values. So right now, I have the Closers Part 2 open to page 185. And the chapter title is One in the Hand is Better, and that there is a question mark. So what's with the question mark?
Well, the question mark is a lot of people are taught that once you have a sale, you don't mess with it. And I run into that myself from time to time. Let's not talk to them again now. Let's ship it or show up or whatever, versus reopening the bag of tricks. But in this, and therefore opening up the first sale for discussion again, which is not usually in the salesperson's favor. In this one on page 185, one in the hand is better, as you said. It's talking about a technique that is quite effective in many, many cases, and that is, let's say you have a low, maybe not a loss leader, I'm not a big fan of those, but a low ball, stripped down version. Let's say you're selling a car and it doesn't have air conditioning, power windows, power brakes, whatever. And that's sort of hard to believe today, but all of those used to be options, and there's still many, many options on the car.
Mm-hmm.
One in the hand.
If you want it loaded, like if you want that big, now the, my cars have always had the big thing in the ceiling that you open up. I can't remember what it's called right now, but now they have the panorama one. It's like, oh, I want that, but I'd have to buy a new car for it. So no, I can live with my current, opening in the top of my car. My brain is shot, but that's normal.
Yeah, one of our cars doesn't have the backup cameras. It's before that, or whoever ordered it didn't order the backup camera. I don't know. And I think of it every time I get in the car because I've gotten spoiled. You put it in reverse, look at the dashboard, and if there's any small children or animals behind you or a tricycle or something, you see it. And I'm a little perplexed when I have to turn all the way around and hope that the outside mirrors, the side mirrors are working properly, and I've got them angled right and so on. But that's a good example of sell the car. If you're going to use this technique, one in the hand is better.
That's the word I was looking for. Sunroof.
Sell
I got
the
it.
car.
I found it.
I'm sorry, we're getting a little feedback. Sell the car, the basic unit, as it is first. Nail it down. Write it up. Agree on it. Handshake, everything. And so now you have that sale in your hand. And then, rather than trying to sell 50 different things in the beginning and confusing the customer, say, now, before I tell them to clean it up and bring it around, there are some options you might want to consider. I don't want you coming back in here in 30 days mad at me after you discovered that there was a backup camera available, or there was a this, or there was a that, or what have you. So the theory is you have one sale done, wrapped up, the easiest one, the low-priced one, the basic unit, and that's great. Congratulations. Now is the time to upsell or to put on additions where it might have been confusing in the beginning to try and sell him, her, them on 15 different options. We got the big option out of the way. That's buy the car. And now we're down to, you were talking about air conditioning and being spoiled by it. In a section of a book I wrote for J. Douglas Edwards, there's a thing called, very famous phrase, reduce it to the ridiculous. And in that, there's an example that I just thought of. I hadn't thought of it in years, discussing air conditioning as an option in the South in those days, in the heat and humidity. You say, by the way, the air conditioning is just whatever. You're going to have this car on average X number of years. So what we're discussing here is not really $500 or whatever it used to be, whatever air conditioning is today if it's not standard. We're not talking about $500. We're talking about, do you and your wife really want to ride around sweating while saving 50 cents a day, which is what it comes down to, reduce it to the ridiculous. So the concept of the one in the hand is really pretty simple. When feasible, there are some products and services this doesn't fit, but when feasible, sell and lock in tight the basic unit, the lower price one. Let him or her guide you. If they want something else and they already know about it, then add that to the package. But lock it down, whatever it is, and then say, in so many words, before we wrap this up, and I don't want you coming back in here 30 days mad at me, there are some features that are optional that you just might want to know about. That's when you hit the tire, the backup lights. the super multi-grip tires. You don't need snow tires year-round where we live, but you do need, because snow comes occasionally and Lake Tahoe is 30 minutes away, you do need the tires that are good for day-to-day use on dry streets, and the tires that will pass the snow inspection when you get to the policeman blocking the street. So that would be a good time to bring that up, for instance. But bird in the hand is better than two in the bush is the basic concept. Lock down the basic sale, then add. And I don't mean semi-lock it down. I mean, you could get up from the table or hang up the phone and write it up. It's a done deal. And then you put on ads. You don't throw the whole thing back in the pot to be discussed again. You're just adding on.
Right.
So
and I see that a lot in online marketing, which is where I live. And the trend now seems to be, yes, you're putting out a great product, whether it's, a membership or whether it's a webinar and they want you to buy something. But I'm seeing more and more people saying the value of the upsells or the gifts need to be almost better than what the product is. They have to be so excited to buy to get the goodies that they're going to buy.
Yeah, I almost subscribe to, I think it's called Bottom Line. I subscribe to it about every other year because I like their marketing. I like their style. But frankly, most of what they print I already knew because it's not the only thing I read. But so this is the year not to renew. And then they sent me an offer, and I forget exactly what it was, but it was, my thought process was, I don't want Bottom Line review this year, but I do want those 5 gifts they just offered.
Exactly.
So I subscribed for a year that I really don't want to get. I think it was 3 mastermind groups or something like that, and 2 or 3 books that I hadn't read. So that's a perfect example of what you're talking about. I didn't want the item, but I did want the extra stuff. When you're watching television and they make an offer of something I'm remotely interested in, because I watch a lot of those commercials because I'm paid to review them and make suggestions and so on for some of my clients, or steal good ideas from one company and offer them to another. And, of course, that happens to me, too. My stuff gets stolen. But they say blah, blah, blah for $49.95 or whatever. and I look up because I'm waiting for, but wait, if you order now, you get the extender hose or the better nozzle or the whatever. But wait, I wouldn't order anything because they've conditioned us to do that till I heard the but wait. Free shipping, I can order 2 units, second one is half off, offers like that. So you're absolutely right. And I repeat, Bottom Line, and if there are people who are listening today, I just re-upped and didn't want to and plan not to, because the free gifts, and I know a little bit about the printing business, free gifts didn't cost them $4. And including me in on a couple of mastermind groups didn't cost them anything. And I'll probably contribute some stuff to them. So because of the gifts, I bought something I really didn't want.
And I find this, right. And I've done the same thing. I will weigh the offer and say, it's really not. I've got something very similar. I already have a similar tool or, an internet process that I'm using. So maybe not. But I'm like you. I go, listen, I want to know what they're selling. I want to know how they're selling it. And most, like all of us, I want to know what's in it for me. And more often than not these days, I've noticed that the primary sales is not what I'm really interested in. It's been done half to death. I've already got that information. But they do their homework and they figure out, okay, if these people don't want that, I bet they need this, that, and I'm like, oh, God dang it. and off I go.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I say bad words, and then I put my credit card in there. But oftentimes, the goodies, and they're not free. I mean, you know, they're goodies, but they make more sense to me often than the actual program. So I get it. I get what you're saying.
And look around your kitchen after you've been out of your family's home, your mother and dad's home for 10 years. You have every gadget and utensil you need in some form. It may be the basic thing or whatever. So when they sell you the new no nonstick fry pan that's better than the one they sold you last week and better than that before, and I was selling at Macy's Davison's in Atlanta. I was selling the first Teflon pans. We had a demonstrator on the floor selling it, the first Teflon pans. And I think they were $4.99 for a 9-inch pan, no lid, no spatula. We sold those to you separate after you agreed you had the pan in your hand in the bag. Oh, by the way, do you have a spatula that works good on nonstick Teflon pans? Of course they don't.
Yeah,
because
you can't use metal.
It just came out, right? And they were so fascinated by the product demonstration, they weren't thinking lid yet, but they will as soon as they cook the first thing at home. So the spatula and the lid were extra sales. The Teflon pan was $4.99, but I laugh every time I see one of those come on. Now they got diamonds in them and this and so on. And I always turn to Gigi if she's with me when I'm watching it. And I say, okay, we got to get rid of all that crap. The Teflon has long since gone. Turned out it peeled off and had some poisonous.
Yeah, there was that.
Yeah, we didn't know that. But the gold whatever we bought last month is junk now, and the new diamond one is good. And I hesitate to buy that because next week the diamond one will be junk. And so on. So it's, the constant step-up sale. But usually in those offers is, but wait, free shipping. We also got an 8-inch pan. We'll throw in the lid. That's worth $800 alone. I sometimes wonder where they get those prices for the add-on. Yeah, but they're important to the sale. And then the clock over in the corner, 6, 5, 4. They never say what it means, but time is running out, I guess. So you better pick up the phone and order now. And the other one I love, the new one, is one of the garden hoses that expands and so on. There's a strict limit of 3 per order. I haven't tried it. I don't need even one garden hose currently. But I'm really suspicious that maybe the telephone rep wouldn't let me have 4 or 6 or something. But they throw in scarcity. So now I've got free shipping, right. the super duper copper hose that will squirt all the way to the upper window, just like your old hose did if you tried.
Mm-hmm.
But you never thought about it that way. You go, it cleans the second floor windows. Well, not very well, but the water goes up there.
Yeah, it gets the windows wet is all it does. And I'm going to admit it, I have a problem. I spend way too much time on QVC. And I told my best friend, who also spends way too much time on QVC, because this is about the time of year we go, Christmas shopping. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, June, I'm not going in there. I get a phone call. She said, where are you right now? I said, QVC. And we bought all this Christmas stuff for our neighbors, for our family. It's like, oh, gee, we do this every year, but there's free shipping, or it's on a wait list, so there's scarcity. And I get sucked in every time. And then I know I'm getting sucked in, but I really do want that product for my friend or for my neighbor, for my veterinarian. So it's just like, okay, fine. July, I'm not going in there. I've made a promise to myself.
So, well, prepare to break it, because that's when you people start shopping. I have a note on my calendar. Saturday, July 1st. Start. It's a reminder to me and to Gigi, who sells costume jewelry. vintage costume jewelry. It says July 1st, Saturday, Gigi and me start promoting Christmas. Because that's Christmas starts this Saturday.
I know. So I tried to be good in June, failed miserably. So now I'm going to pretend like I'm going to be very strong in July. Ain't going to happen. But there's all that good stuff like appreciating.
A lady that has taught Gigi a lot about marketing jewelry. I know nothing about jewelry. I have common sense sales and marketing skills, but I don't know jewelry, and this lady does, was QVC's top promoter. I won't give out her name here, but you've seen her many times. Now she runs her own business, selling her own things, and for $49 a month or whatever it is, teaching other people like Gigi what she does and what she'd recommend and all. She's wonderful. And we were talking about the QVC offers, the extra special things, and because some of them, as a salesperson, really make me, and I mean this in a positive way, make me cringe. Like I can't believe you had the audacity to say that, or
I know,
or whatever. But
and I was seeing you cringe right as you said it. There's some I'm like, oh my God. What is wrong with these people? Do they talk like that in the grocery store? Stop it.
No,
I mean,
they don't.
So
which
fake.
leads me to her answer. When I asked directly or indirectly through Gigi, I forget how it was, this was a year or two ago, can you really get people to say that? And she said, on camera, with no direct connection to the customer, certainly. We wouldn't be able to say it. We couldn't get people to say it face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, or even with interactive internet. It would be hard to defend. But when you're talking to millions of people and you only have to say it once and you get no immediate feedback, but you still get a 13% buy-in, you can afford to do it. It's like teaching somebody how to close. The first time is most difficult because they think, oh, my God, they're going to reject me. I'll look foolish and so and so. Then they say it, the script or whatever, and the person buys. And you go, my life just changed.
The perception it's a perception. It's like, and we all have this, this is not going to work. We have this internal dialogue that really does slow you down or get in your way or even stop you. And I think it's important to, when you have those moments, like, oh, that worked. Okay, let's do it again and do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
But take that moment to go, aha, that worked. Now my mindset is completely different, and I'm ready to go.
I think I told you when I got thrown out of Holiday Magic Cosmetic meetings, this is multi-level marketing back in the 60s, he said I couldn't come back till I'd learned the scripts and therefore would be able to invite people because I'd been in the business 6 months and hadn't made a penny, had changed hands. So as a condition of being able to come to the meetings, I had to learn the scripts. Having learned the scripts and talking to people, I was talking to them before, but nothing was happening. Having learned the invitation script, I showed up at a meeting within a few days of having learned the scripts with 5 people. They gave the presentation from the front of the room, precisely worded the script, and then it said, turn to the person who brought you here and ask how you can get started in Holiday Magic. Here's the point at which, I didn't have anybody to talk to, so it really didn't make any difference. But this night I had 5 people to talk to because of the learning the invitation scripts. Then I was afraid of closing. I don't remember the fear, but obviously I was because I wasn't closing. I turned to them as the lights came up and went into the scripts. And then I said to each of them, pointing at my legal pad with the 4 circles on it, which position best suits your needs? That was part of the script. And all 5 picked the top position. Adjusted for inflation, all 5 picked the $50,000 expenditure. It was $5,000 in those days, but the $50,000 expenditure. I almost passed out. And all 4 of the 5 paid on the spot, and the other guy, as best I recall, a couple needed a few days to put the money together, but they came through. I made more money that night having the courage to make a plan-tested presentation. I made more money that night than I was going to make in the next year working for my father as a retail detail food broker salesman. And so I was cured. I went from being a never closer to a killer closer in about 15 minutes because it worked. And,
well, Ben,
and we're acute.
Good. I have to ask you, though. I mean, by your own admission, you were revenue-free for 6 months. Why did you hang in there?
Because we had put up our $5,000 that we didn't have. And I didn't, as I told Bill Dempsey when he said, don't come to the meetings anymore, you're depressing people. I told you I'd never heard Ben Gay and depressing in the same sentence in my life. I'd heard Ben Gay aggravating, Ben Gay smart aleck, Ben Gay, but never depressing. I said to Bill, that's nice, but we cannot afford not to come back. I got, $50,000 laid out in today's money, a room full of cosmetics, and I had no way to get rid of them if I don't come to these meetings. So I had no choice. It's the way I got into selling, poverty and desperation. Mm-hmm. I was putting my first wife through nursing school, and this little lad said, if you know anything about marketing plans, want to make more money, dial this number. I dialed the number. I didn't know what a marketing plan was, but it was desperation. It wasn't inspiration or some grand plan. I was going to have to tell my wife in a few days, you can't go to nursing school anymore because I can't afford to put you through. So I took positive action to make it happen. And desperation is often what pushes it through. In the case of QVC, you have skilled marketing people who know what to say. I mean, some of their stuff is brilliant. And but you also have the disconnect in that they don't have to have the person look at them and say, that's nonsense, that's too much, I don't want it, get out of my face. They just say it once and let the percentages fall into place. So it removes it. Well, on a personal basis, in closing, I've removed it at the proper time. I say the proper things, and on average, 86% of the people, never been able to get it significantly higher, hasn't been significantly lower in years, 86% of the people say yes. Now, that means, let's say I figured up one day 100,000 face-to-face sales presentations, not counting groups of 5,000 or anything, one-on-one, Bob and me, looking at each other or talking to each other on the phone. I've given 100,000 sales presentations. Well, if I have an 86% closing rate, that means that 14%, that means 14,000 people said to me, no, thank you, or I don't believe you, or I don't like the product, or I can't afford it. 14,000. But if you can separate yourself from that and from a helicopter view, see that you got 86,000, then the 14,000 just are part of the game. It's, some will, some won't. Next. It removes me from the process. When someone says no, I usually know which way they're going to go in advance. I feel an atmospheric pressure change when I get ready to ask for the order. I know they're going to buy before they know they're going to buy, because I've been through this. They've been through it 50 times in their life. I've been through it 100,000 times. So I know the ground better than they know it. But by knowing that I'm going to get 86 to say yes out of 100 and 14 will say no, it removes me from the equation. I just get up and, Sammy Davis Jr., when I used to love to watch him perform, he was such a wonderful professional. He didn't try and win everybody in the audience over. He went with the people who liked tap dancing and singing and excitement and so on. And out of a room full of people, there was always enough of those for him to walk off with a victory night after night after night for over 60 years. And I don't think anybody ever will, but if somebody said, did you notice the guy in the 18th row in the pink shirt? He never smiled, never laughed, never clapped. That's just part of the deal that comes in the package. So you got to get your process down to where it is the tool. And if every nail doesn't go into the board with that tool, that's fine. And you can work to improve it. I've made little shifts over the years with various products and services, but I never changed the system. The system is first, sell a quality product that's competitively priced. Spend your days talking to people who are qualified to do that, religiously, geographically, monetarily, whatever. And know your presentation, get it down tight. And if you get really, I have friends who do better than I do. I don't like to talk about them because it makes me look bad. But I have friends who do better than 86%. And we all follow our proven systems. QVC has a proven system. And the folks who are working with us and listening to us every Wednesday, you need a proven, tested system so that you're free to go, oh, they said no, and I poked and prodded and so on, but they still said no. That's good. That's one of the 14 is now out of the way. Let's get to the 86 who are going to buy. Magazine salesmen over the phone in the old days, back when they sold magazines over the phone, they got 1 out of 10 people to buy with no resistance. Hi, I'm the Time magazine. Oh, I want to subscribe to that. That type of thing. So 9 out of 10 times they were turned down. They didn't even have comebacks. As soon as you put up any significant resistance, they hung up because they're going to get 1 out of 10 with no resistance in a matter of seconds versus trying to get you to come over with a 10-minute presentation. So you got to know the game you're in. If you're playing softball, don't bring a tennis racket. Know the game you're in, get good at the game, trust the process, and then ask for the order. And then first you sell yourself, and then you sell the company, and then you sell the product. And then you post-sell with all the things you promise that you will do for them after the sale. One of mine, if I'm in person, is I flip over my business card. Yes, I still go through thousands a month. They're in everything we sell. They're stuck in the book or whatever. And if you come to one of my seminars, as you walk in, every chair will have a business card sitting on it. But if it's one-to-one, I flip over the business card and tell them that here's my personal cell phone. You can always reach me or my voicemail, and I'll get back to you. You can always reach me by calling this number, which adds another value to the product. The other value is what's different about this product. With this product and no other product like it on earth, you get me. As I told a young salesman when he was writing up an order for a GMC Denali, he handed me his business card, and I said, where's your personal cell phone? He said, well, we don't put that on our cards. I said, you do, and your home phone number. Because when this thing doesn't work one day, I'm calling you. I'm not calling AAA. Might also call them. I'm not calling your sales manager. I'm calling you. And you will answer and take care of any reasonable complaint I have. That's the only reason I'm buying this from you. And if you don't, we live in a small town, I will be your worst nightmare.
Did he cry?
Nobody wrote phone numbers down.
I bet he did. Yeah. He probably went home and sat down and said, what the heck just happened to me?
Saying that reminded me of my ear doctor. I don't think I've told you this. We talk about so many different things, but my ear, I wear hearing aids, and my right ear was plugged up. The hearing aid wasn't helping. So I got an appointment with him, and he was the best ear doctor in town who I wasn't using previously, so I had to pull some strings to get into him and become a patient. So I told him, and he looked at my ear, and then I got out the tweezers, and he pulled out remnants of a or several Q-tips. And I've been told don't put Q-tips in your ear, but who else do they sell to? I mean, that's what people do. That's what they do with Q-tips. If it was a federal offense to put a Q-tip in your ear, Q-tips would be out of business.
Oh, I know.
So
or
anyway,
little kids, they put them up their nose. So they do have uses. They really do.
yeah. But the main one is adult ears, and which is highly recommended against. So anyway, he says, "Oh, you use Q-tips?" Yes, I do. But the reason is, and I get water in my ears when I'm showering. I go into my whole routine, which is Latin for I use Q-tips, and I'm going to continue to use Q-tips. He said to me, and I thought, God, I wish I could get salespeople to think this way. He said to me, we were already on a first name basis, but he was getting stern. He said, "Mr. Gay, those ears are mine now. If I ever see any trace of a Q-tip having been in there, any cotton lint at all, you're going to have to find another doctor. Do you understand?" I said, "Yes, sir." and I haven't had a Q-tip in my ear since. And it drives me crazy.
I'm terrible with yeah, I know. And when I get my ears wet, I'm like, ugh. I will take a little blow dryer. I don't dry my hair. I don't have to. It's massively curly. It's going to do whatever it wants, so I let it be. But I do have a little blow dryer that I have to go find every once in a while. And I'll train that on my ears if there's enough water in there that I can kind of hear it sloshing. Like, I am not sticking a Q-tip in there.
Well, you won't with my doctor, because with my doctor you don't own your ears. He owns your ears.
If he's and I understand his attitude, I really do. If he is in, your ear care is in his charge.
Right.
You better listen to him if you trust him. If you think he can be trusted, you know that he knows what he's talking about. He's not trying to sell you something that you don't want, like new hearing aids. You're right. He's right. I mean, you're in my care now. Do what you're told. Nobody gets hurt.
Right. Step away from the Q-tips and no one will be hurt. Right. Well, he got my attention. As we say in the South, no one ever explained it to me that way before.
Yeah, but once it gets explained to us, we go, look, I like to think that I'm the smartest person in the room, and I can say that I am with complete and total honesty because I live alone. I am the smartest person in the room. And I entertain myself with that thought quite a bit, as you can imagine, because I'm also the biggest smart ass in the room. But honestly, somebody will say something, it's like, I knew that, but it never landed. Now it landed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there it is.
It wasn't the first anti-Q-tip speech I'd ever heard. I've been hearing them since I was a teenager going to the doctor. And never put anything in your ear bigger than your elbow. And if you try that after we hang up, you'll discover that it's rather difficult anyway. But he's the one, after all these years, who cured me in just a couple of minutes. Those are my ears, and if you put a Q-tip in them, you're going to have to go find another doctor. And he knew the grief I'd gone through getting to him.
Oh. Now, I have to ask, Q-tips I get, but what about cotton balls? Because I use those. I use them on my cats all the time to clean out their ears.
I don't know. I'll ask him, because I'd be afraid to use them.
Ask him. I need to know.
Yeah, because if he found cotton ball lint in my ear, he'd assume it was a Q-tip, and I would be doctorless, and I don't want that to happen. But what he said was Kleenex on the end of your finger, not twisted up and jammed down in your ear. Just if Kleenex on the end of your finger won't work, then come back and see me at your next checkup, and we'll fix it again. So he was rather adamant. Oh, and I said, can I use my small finger? I was looking for any edge I could get. He said, yeah, you can't get your small finger in deep enough to do any damage anyway.
Yeah. Unless you have really long, thick nails, then you can hurt yourself. So don't do that.
Oh, yeah. I don't have really long, thick nails.
No. I pound the keyboard all day, 24/7. I go through about 3 keyboards a year. I'm not kidding. So no fake nails for me. But let's talk. This is fun. We get off on the weirdest tangents. But it's important that when you're talking with somebody, when they're talking with you, and they've got something that really needs to land on you, like your doctor did, you may have to get a little bit terse, a little bit stern, but it lands.
Yep.
And
Yep.
sometimes that is the case in sales. I mean, you don't always want to be wishy-washy, tiptoeing around. One I found a long time ago when I'm working with a potential website client or an agency, my digital agency client, I'll just flat out ask them, is this what you want to do? You know, are you ready to move, or do you need to talk with somebody else? Can I refer you somewhere else? And I will refer them. But I will just flat out, if I have to, and that actually I don't often have to because they're like, when do we start? But every once in a while I'll have to say, okay, this is going on too far. I'm getting bored. And you can tell if you're getting bored and you're having to start maybe repeat what you've already, it's time, moving on. Are we going to do this or not? And I'm not saying be that rude or that crude, but sometimes you just have to lay that line down in the sand. It's like, this is where we are. What are we going to do?
Yeah, the positive version of that is on page 257 in the Closers Part 2, Sales Infiltration, where you set up the process in advance. You set the table, and you get permission to be direct and blunt first. And then they don't understand the significance of that until 15, 20, 30 minutes later when you pull it. You know, you cock the gun at the beginning, and you pull the trigger when necessary. And that lead in, and it's most of my magic closes. I did all the heavy lifting up front, but my magic close is, Denise, based on what we've discussed, here's what I suggest we do. Fair enough? The only variation I ever use on that is, Denise, based on what you've told me, here's what I suggest we do. Fair enough? And you hear people who are resisting 15 seconds before say, yeah, that's fair enough. At worst, they have one more question. It smokes out the last question and or gives you the right, once again, to ask the final question.
And what is the final question?
Well, whatever is holding them back. And if you've really been listening, you know what that is. Or they know what they've been holding back. They know that they know they don't like green cars. You know, but that sounds sort of silly, so maybe they've withheld that. I mean, the only thing holding me up is I can't stand green cars. Fantastic. Is that the only thing holding you up? Yep. Well, let's go out on the lot and find you one with all these features that isn't green. Easy to solve. But I got to find out they don't like green cars, or else I don't know what to take them out on the lot for.
Here's something that you and I have talked about. I can't remember now if it's been on the radio or if we just during some of our conversations, because as the world knows, I have 5 favorite people in the world. You're in the top 2, and no, I'm not going to say who's number 1 right now. It switches. Sometimes you're in spot 1, sometimes you're in spot 2. Yeah, I want to be fair. But anybody who knows how to speak with their clients or their potential clients, or somebody buying a car or somebody trying to buy a lawnmower off of Nextdoor app, you can tell, you can sense when they're just not going to. You're not interested. You're not a good fit for them. Your product may be a good fit, but you're not for some reason. I pick that up pretty quickly, and that's when I'll say, listen, we're probably not going to be the best value for you given, the information you've given me, but can I refer you to some of my colleagues who might be a better fit? And the relief is like, oh, yeah. Now they're loyal to me whether they ever work with me or not, because I really do genuinely want to help them.
Absolutely. And it's not just the sale in front of you. It's referrals, future business. Their situation changes. When I bought my first new car in 1962 Volkswagen, he was trying to sell me a Carmen Ghia, which was sort of a poor man's Porsche. Well, the Volkswagen was $1,842 out the door. The Carmen Ghia, as best I remember, was $5,000 or $6,000, which was $4,000 to $5,000 more than I had or could borrow. So trying to sell me, because he sensed rather quickly that talking to me about the Carmen Ghia was a waste of time and effort. So he let me buy the Volkswagen. But about a year later, I bought my first new Cadillac, and then mainly for a contest to give away, I bought and or leased, as of today, a little over 600 luxury automobiles, Rolls-Royces, Stutz Bearcats, a few hundred Cadillacs, a few hundred Lincoln Continentals, and so on. So it's not just that sale. If he and all those other cars, the other 600, were bought from just two people, two salespeople. You got all that business. One in the little town I was in, San Rafael, California, and the other one where we moved up where we are near Lake Tahoe now. If the Volkswagen salesperson had understood that $1,840 was not the end, should not be the end of our relationship, he would have sold 600 cars. And because you don't have to be a Cadillac or Lincoln guy, they have connections and they do swap outs and so on. Many of the Cadillacs I bought, both Rolls Royces and the Stutz Bearcat, all came from a Lincoln dealership in San Rafael. So I would love to find that salesman. He was good. He got $1,840, $42 I probably shouldn't have spent out of me. And I drove away a happy camper in my little VW Bug. But if he'd really been sharp, and you don't have to guess who's going to become what or who's going to do what, just be good to everybody. Give them all your card. Send them all a Christmas card. Send them all whatever you're going to do for your best customer. Do that. We would have stayed in touch. I would know his name now, which I don't. It was Bill Spreen, Volkswagen. I remember the name of the dealership, but what his name was, I don't know. So he missed out on over 600 luxury cars, which I promise you is more than he sold in his career before he died or retired.
Right. And the thing is, I mean, if you come across, and I think we're both really stressing this, if you come across a sale for whatever reason, it's not going to work. And probably it shouldn't work. Because what will often happen, and particularly in my world, if you force a sale, now you've got to live up to the hype. And sometimes you can't. Right. And then you've got a ticked off customer, and we all talk ugly. You know, the minute we're mad about something, everybody's going to know about it. Ask me about LG Global. Don't buy an LG refrigerator, y'all. Just don't. So now you know. Don't ever do it. The thing is, once you've made that sale, you're like, oh, good. You know, $10,000 just came into my bank account. Oh, yeah. Oh, now I promised a bunch of stuff that I can't really do. Now what? And then you find yourself backsliding or avoiding the client. And I'm not talking from experience. I've seen this from people I've coached and mentored and said, what do you mean you fixed it? Well, I needed the money. You didn't need it that bad, because now what's happening to you? So now you set yourself up to really get a bad reputation from here, there, and yonder, and it's going to keep following you. So just express what the value is, and if your value isn't quite what they need, find them help, because they will come back. Yep. I've had clients come back, or they're now clients, say, Denise, I'm so grateful that you knew I didn't have the money. You knew I couldn't really afford what you offered, and it was, I just wasn't where I needed to be to work with you, but I'm back. And that happens quite a bit. You'd be surprised.
Yep. It happens more than you know, because not everybody says it, but they're back. And 5 other people that you didn't know came from them, came to you because they heard the story. I have friends who make up statistics to write articles with, one in particular I'm thinking of, which is a legendary statistic quoted by everybody, attributed to Harvard and so on. The truth is Ray Considine and Wade Cannon made up the statistics when they were writing a sales article for a marketing magazine, and they said they wanted more facts, figures, and statistics. So over some bourbon one night in a legal pad, they wrote down, 42% of the salespeople never make a second call, and so on. And they were figures they said they felt were about right based on their experience, but it was never a study. It was just made up stuff. and I see it quoted everywhere. Almost every week I see some version of it, and I think about Wes and Ray Considine. I think of them and how they went to their graves laughing about the statistic. I said all that to say this. When you offend or don't handle a customer right or whatever, probably made up by somebody who knows the business pretty well, they'll tell 17 people. They'll aggressively tell 17 people that in so many words you can't be trusted. If they're really happy with their deal, they'll tell one. So
that's true. Until they know somebody that needs you, and then they'll say, "Oh, hey, go talk with Ben," or "Go talk to Denise." So it's not a subject of conversation until there's a need.
Absolutely. So anyway, you're spot on. I totally agree with you. I had a note, and I don't want to have us disconnect without having brought it up. I have it in quotes. The other thing I do with pricing is, first of all, I set the price. I test the price. I know what our costs are, et cetera. And once I set it, that's it. It doesn't mean it won't change over the years, but that's where we start, and it's not negotiable with any single customer. So if you're listening to this, here's a new word for you. My prices are pre-haggled. In other words,
I like that.
I like your widget, and you're asking $99 for it, and I'll give you $89. I really appreciate that, but my prices are pre-haggled. See, what I really wanted was $150, but if I'd asked $150, you would have countered with this, and then back and forth, and we'd settle on $79. So I saved us all that time and trouble. Pre-haggled, non-negotiable. But the good news is I'll stand behind it. Here's my personal name, phone number, blah, 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 and so on. So add pre-haggled to your inventory, your vocabulary.
I just wrote it down. I love that. And, here's the thing. When people will come to me or they'll come to you, and I wanted to ask you about this. I've been wanting to ask you, and, as always, I think, I'm going to ask him the next time, and then I forget. So my brain is probably in the kitchen right now. I don't know what it's doing over there, but it's not in here with me. Busy. But people will often say, well, I just can't afford it. Right out of the chute, I just can't afford it. And you always want to say, well, why are you talking to me? Why do I need to convince you? What is going on? Are you just trying to harass me? Because sometimes that does happen. But the thing is, there are always going to be people you are not going to be their cup of tea. You need to learn quickly, like the magazine guy said, yep, cutting you loose. Thank you for your time. You have a nice day now, and you get away from them. And be polite about it, by the way. When we say you have a nice day now, we mean just go away. Go away now.
The magazine people didn't even have a nice fadeaway. They just hung out.
I kind of like that. But still, when you can sense, and if you're paying any kind of attention, and if you are selling from your heart, you're selling from a place where you really genuinely believe that you can be of service, that your product is a great value, whatever it is that the power that you're working from, if you truly believe in what you're selling, you can tell. You can instantly almost tell when somebody is just going to be there to harass you or give you a hard time or, try to pick your brain, which happens a lot too. And, just be aware and be polite and say, well, listen, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm going to let you go now. And you hang up the phone.
I'm with you 100%. And that's in social situations as well as buying situations. I can tell when a conversation is going on too long with Gigi and one of her friends. She'll start saying, well, I'm going to let you go now, which is, we're through. Love you,
right.
But we're through.
Yeah, I'll do that too. So, all right, I'm tired. Got to go. Bye. And I'll like, I'm done. People who know me don't get all upset. They're like, well, she's finished. I'll talk to her another time. Okay, I wanted to, we've got about 5 minutes. you have a mentoring program that you and I have talked about, and you mentor me all the time, whether you know whether or not you have done so for years. But you have a dynamic mentoring program that I want you to tell people about.
Sure. It was what Dr. Hill and I were putting together when he was my mentor. I was his last protege before he died. And we were putting together a program called Mentoring Dynamics, similar to a couple other companies I had, Leadership Dynamics, which was a self-improvement type group, and Mind Dynamics, which was sort of a spin-off of the New Age, Edgar Casey, the Sleeping Prophet type thing, and Est and all the other companies that followed. The people at most of those companies work for us in Mentoring Dynamics or Leadership Dynamics or Mind Dynamics. So anyway, when he died, I don't know why, looking back, because he died over 50 years ago, I just never did anything with the concept, I guess because I felt like it was Dr. Hill was the draw in those days. And if he wasn't there, why are we doing it, and so on, because we planned to bring you to California, spend 10 days locked up in our favorite hotel out here with Dr. Hill and me and a couple of other well-known teacher types, and certify you to be a mentor, a certified mentor with Mentoring Dynamics. So after all these years, I got back to it. I've used the term, but I haven't really done it. I didn't make it official. I just talk to people because I like talking to people. Gigi one day said, you know, if you charge for all that time you spent helping people, we'd be in an even better situation. And I probably put up some little resistance, but it dawned on me she was right. So I put a name on it, Mentoring Dynamics, and a price on it. And what I offer to people in that program is I'm your Sherpa. A Sherpa is the one who at Mount Everest has been up the mountain 85 times. This isn't new for him. It's Wednesday. It's just another day at the office. The Chinese, I believe it is, have a saying, if you want to know what's farther down the road, ask someone who's coming back from it. They've been down the road. So what I offer is I've been at this a long time. I've owned my own business for over 60 years or been the top of somebody else's business. I've seen it all. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. I've seen the victorious moments. I've seen the absolute defeats. And so I'm the guy coming back up the road. If you want to know what's down there, I can cut 20, 30 years off your learning curve. And as Dr. Hill did for me and a few other wonderful mentors along the way did for me. So I now do it for other people. And it's not fancy or scripted or charts and graphs and study things. I might tell you to read a book because of what you just said. That book would help you. But it doesn't come with 5 books in a box and so on. It comes with my experience. It's like we were talking about earlier. It comes with my business card with my personal cell phone written on the back, and they can call me whenever they want. Oh, and the other thing is, I know we're running out of time, it's not every Thursday at 3 o'clock or every Tuesday at 10 a.m. It's when you need it. And if you don't need me for a month or two, no hard feelings. Your retainer sits there untouched. And if you need me for a 5-minute question, I probably won't remember to write it down. But if I do, I just charge you the hourly rate broken down by the few minutes. So that's pretty much it. You can put Ben Gay in your hip pocket if that's of interest to you. And I can be of help, if only because I've been down the road and I've been to the top of the mountain.
Well, I probably should not admit this. Why do you think you're my co-host? I get it. I get to talk with you, and you answer questions, and I can do this I can do it on Wednesday. I can do it all the time. This is why you're one of my favorite people in the world. I mean, you really are one of my mentors. I am not kidding.
Well, that's very sweet of you, and you mine. With your sweet Southern accent, and I know you say it's not a Southern accent, but it is. With your sweet Southern accent, I had to assure Gigi that ours was a business relationship because she said, you seem to really like her. And I said, I love her. She is my kind of people.
And, you know, Gigi and I chat back and forth on Facebook, and we like what each other's doing. We're friends. I think Gigi is fabulous, and you can tell her that. Well, listen, everybody, we are out of time. So thank you for joining us today, and I really hope that you found our insights and our chats, just reminisce, whatever it is that we're talking about, valuable and inspiring. So stay connected with us. This is my ask. Stay connected with us, and be sure to follow us on social media platforms and subscribe to our podcast on Apple iTunes or really wherever you listen to podcasts. We are everywhere on the internet, from Audible to Apple to everything in between. And this is important. We welcome your questions about the work that we do and the knowledge that we love to share. So please feel free to ask your questions. Social media, grab us wherever you can on the internet. Seriously, you can't throw a stick and not hit us. We'll answer these questions live on the show. So your engagement and your curiosity make our discussions even more enriching. So stay connected, keep learning, and let's continue this journey together. And then I will see you Wednesday if I don't speak with you before.
You have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for letting me co-host with you once a week.
Are you kidding? I begged. I was like, Ben, when you said, I'm thinking about, maybe co-hosting, I was like, me, pick me. You couldn't see me, but my hand was up in the air going, me, pick me. So here we are. Thank goodness you picked me. Of course, I was going to, raise a stink if you didn't. So there is that. So anyway,
it was easier to pick you than face your wrath.
There you go. See, you do know me. All right, I will talk with you next week. Tell Gigi hi, and let's go forth and make all kinds of people very excited about sales and, business.
Have a great day.
You too, Ben. Talk to you later.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.